Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSE 15. In this section we're going to take a look at one of the other new guided edits. This is the Speed Pan guided edit. And the idea of this is to add a sense of motion to a photo by blurring the background. In this particular case I've chosen a street artist who's actually of course supposed to be completely stationary. So what I'm trying to do here is to try to make it look as though he is actually moving by making everything that he's moving past look blurred. So this is the Speed Pan guided edit. So into guided edit mode. It's one of the fun edits. Speed Pan. And there are basically three steps. The first step in many ways can be the most time-consuming one because you need to select what's going to be moving, and depending on what it is, it may take you a little while to get that selection just right. As usual with this type of thing, how much trouble you're prepared to go to, or indeed how much trouble you need to go to get to the result you want, will vary, and of course is very subjective. So I click on the quick selection tool. I can adjust the brush size, and I can add to a selection, subtract from a selection. Normally this takes an element of experimentation. I'm going to set the brush size to that, and I'm just going to try to select him reasonably accurately. I'm going to make a few mistakes, some deliberate, some not. I'm currently in add mode, so I can add to the selection. Now I do have a few things there that I don't want, so I'm going to change to subtract mode. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush, and I'm going to subtract bits that I don't want. There's a bit of wall there I don't want. As I say, it's up to you how much trouble you're prepared to go to. If you're looking at it carefully, you will notice that his cycle is on a stand. He's not actually moving at all. I'm not going to include the stand in the edit because I want that to be blurred so that people can't necessarily see it too well. That's my selection. In fact, there's one other little bit I want to exclude, and that's the bit between his body and his left arm. Okay, that's my selection. Step 2, add motion blur. Now when I add motion blur, I can choose the intensity, which is basically how fast he seems to be going, and also the direction of the blur. So in his case, he'll be sort of slightly down and towards me. So let me just change the angle to that, and then intensity wise, well, that may actually be enough. If I increase the intensity, maybe that's a bit too much. Okay, I think that's not bad. And then finally, step 3, use the refine effect brush to precisely adjust where the motion blur is applied. To demonstrate this, what I'm going to do is to adjust the blur on the can in front of the bicycle. Now the can of course is the street artist's collecting can, and you wouldn't expect that to be moving with the bicycle, but in our case it's going to be. So with the refine effect brush, what I'm going to do is to subtract some blur. Let's go for maximum opacity, slightly bigger brush, but we're going to subtract some blur from the can. So hover over the can and then paint off the blur. Again, I'm not going to do it terribly accurately, but hopefully you get the general idea from that. That's the end of this section. I'll see you in the next one.